What's going on, my people? Welcome back to Israel's Reviews. And today we're going to be talking about one of maybe the best comic movies ever up to date. And we're going to be talking about Logan from 2017. This was Hugh Jackman's last portrayal of Wolverine, the character. And boy, was it a great one. You know, he definitely saved the best for last. And especially this past weekend, man, we had Comic-Con and we had, my God, so much news. And I was really excited about the news we got regarding Marvel. A little disappointed when it came to DC because I thought they were going to give us more. But Marvel, I think, over-exceeded our expectations, right? And, we're definitely going to just get straight into this one, especially, we know that the X-Men eventually is coming within the next few years. And, boy, it's been, by the time these X-Men movie comes, is going to be a good 8 to 10 years, after this movie came out. So, we're going to get straight into it. Hugh Jackman definitely laid it all on the line on this one. This movie's brutally violent. It's emotional. It's a very different X-Men take than what we got in the past films. It's very character-driven. Logan is the Wolverine film that fans were waiting for since the beginning. And Logan was directed by James Mangold, which is a phenomenal director. And obviously, Hugh Jackman, this was his, goodbye, his farewell tour, and, his final go-around as our legendary Wolverine. And what excited me about this movie was that it was rated R. They secured an R rating, which was something the previous two Wolverine films should have had, but they didn't. But Logan was bound to be a legendary movie. This movie was fantastic. Matter of fact, it wasn't even fantastic, man. This movie was phenomenal. And if you're going into this movie, if you haven't seen it, I'm not going to give any spoilers here. If you're going to go into Logan expecting every scene just to be Wolverine tearing people into shreds and fucking them up, you'll be thoroughly disappointed. This is definitely not an action film. There are definitely action sequences in here that you're gonna love, but they're not the main focus of the movie, like the previous two Wolverine movies tried to make them to be. Logan is definitely a grounded film, and I know that might shock a lot of people when I say that because it's an X-Men film, right? Oh, this was a comic, this was a cartoon. Why isn't it action-driven? No, they tried that. And they definitely gave Wolverine a beautiful backstory in this film. And, this film really takes its time to tell its story and develop its characters. Wolverine is definitely not the only standout character in this film. It's a character-driven film and probably has the most characterizations in an X-Men film to date. We get enough of Wolverine's backstory within the first few minutes to really become attached to him as if we weren't already. And we learn more about Professor X and what he has been doing throughout this whole time. And then there's this little girl who probably should be annoying, but luckily isn't. And that was a sigh of relief. This girl Laura comes out of nowhere, and she's the star of the movie. It's really her movie in many ways. All of the sequences with Laura were exciting, were very riveting. I was purely shocked and entertained. There was that sense of mystery to her character that you wouldn't really expect from a film like this. You don't really know what her next move is going to be. And I thought that was very intriguing because it left me in the edge of my seat. I remember watching this in the theater. I went to the theater 3 times to see this. And her motivation to find a safe haven is so well thought out, so well felt in this film that it just brings you to a sigh of relief that there is still a sense of good out there in the world when it comes to this film. And especially when this film, everything seems to be dark, bleak, hopeless. And this movie definitely leaves you on, I'm not going to say a positive or negative standing, but it definitely leaves you fulfilled. And you definitely, crazy to say, but This is a X-Men film, right? But you leave the film with such an emotion. That's what this is. It's an emotional ride. Um, Hugh Jackman's performance, man, the dude gave it all. Legend, legend. After doing this movie, he's done so much, and you can tell um, they're definitely going to have a Wolverine in the future. But boy, whoever becomes Wolverine has a tall tale to match this guy. Not even pass him, match him. This is by far his best performance as Wolverine, in my humble opinion. We never seen Wolverine vulnerable, which he is in this movie. He's old. He's broken down. He's beaten. You can tell he doesn't heal the way he used to. His adamantium is rusty. It hurts when his clothes start to come out. He can't heal like he used to, obviously, because he's aging. The conviction from Hugh Jackman in this movie was just spot on and really captured the ways Wolverine felt at certain moments. This man deserved a Grammy, an Oscar, whatever it is for this movie. He definitely deserved it. It added layers to this film. When Wolverine gets into a fight, you can tell Hugh Jackman is so good in these scenes. It's like he got into a fight with the filmmakers on set. Like, the way this movie was filmed beautifully, the cinematography was on point. I love the scenes in the forest. The film does not hold back, when it comes to that standpoint of violence. And it was needed, man. This is Wolverine. This is savage, you know what I mean? From the get-go, you know what type of movie you're in for from the very beginning. It is brutally violent. So you can tell this movie was definitely not campaigned or towards children at all. It was to us, the people that grew up with Wolverine. Late 70s, 80s babies, 90s babies. This movie was definitely a tribute to us. And what's cool is that by far the most violent X-Men film we've gotten. Wolverine hacks, he claws, he slashes his way through skirmishes with blood, guts. There's gore flying everywhere, if you know me. I'm a big horror guy, so I love that carnage candy. And this movie, not a horror movie, but boy, you get that here. This is what you had always wanted from a Wolverine movie, and haven't got it up to this point before seeing this movie. Well, this movie is going to give you all of that and extra. And from a violence standpoint, I'm gonna go ahead and say the violence is there when the film calls for it. All the violence in this movie is not unnecessary. The times that call for violence or an action scene is very necessary. It's not violent for the sake of being violent. It's not a John Wick film. This is a film that puts the characters and story first before anything. That's what I loved about this film. With the violence being a secondary element to help propel the story along, and a beautiful story to create tension. That's what this movie basically does. It is in the scenes where it should be. If this was just an all-out 2-hour and 20-minute hack and slash fest, this film would have no depth to it. It would look cool, but giving Hugh Jackman the proper send-off was you could tell that that's what was more important to the filmmakers, to the directors in a film like this. This film at times gets downright emotional. The final scene of the movie makes you feel, like I said, very emotional. You want to cry. You care about these characters. Man, Mr. Patrick, Professor X himself, the chemistry between him and Wolverine in this film is off the chain. They have, such a dynamic chemistry in this film. Without spoiling it, you're going to be very intrigued. There's a theme throughout the movie regarding a Western. You're going to know exactly what I mean when you see it. And what's great about it is that it's a callback, and it goes right back. And then you see that it gets reprised towards the end of the movie with the young girl. Man, you're invested in all the characters in this film. You don't want to see them put in harm's way, but eventually they do. Even in the scenes where the film may feel a bit slow, you're not bored. The final act of the film is definitely the huge payoff. You know, this is where everything really meshes together with a force, creating a post-pounding, edge of your seat final send-off for Hugh Jackman as he retired from the role after this film. And this is by far the best Wolverine movie and possibly the best X-Men movie to date. You know, I haven't decided yet because I'm gonna give it time for these other movies to win my trust, win my heart, but it's up there, man. It deserves to be. You know, everything paid off in this film. Emotional, very character-driven. It has heart at the end of the day. Man, this movie, just talking about it makes me emotional. This is everything anyone could have wanted in a Wolverine film. I gave this movie a perfect score, a 10 out of 10. So definitely go check this out. If there's ever a comic book movie deemed worthy of perfect, Logan is definitely it. You know, the word perfect is very objective, especially when it comes to film, especially when it comes to different people's opinions. But while Logan may not be a perfect film to some, it's mostly certainly a perfect comic book film. You know, it's a masterpiece of the most epic proportion, and it leaves us with a brilliant swan song for a producer, for a star, in his final outing. And man, go check this movie out. And that's my review in a nutshell, man. You definitely go check this out. Let me know what you think in the Discord. And if you liked this video, hit that like button, hit that notification bell, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Subscribe, man. Take it easy.